Hi, this is Michael Beavers, and welcome to Lab 5, Logic Expressions Using Operators. We've previously discussed variables, graphics tools, and windows, but to make an HMI really shine, you need animation. Humans like to see things move. In this section, we'll cover basic logic expressions and in-touch scripts. Logic expressions are equations that can only be true or false, 1 or 0. As an example, imagine we're making an HMI where two switches must be on at the same time for a lamp to be displayed. For our example, when key 1 is on and key 2 is on, the launch light is going to illuminate. So right now key 1 and key 2 are on. If I turn either one of them off, the light goes off. If I turn them both on, the light goes on. The expression key 1 and key 2 is a logic expression. Key 1 and key 2 are both variable tag names, and is an operator. The expression basically asks if key 1 and key 2 are both on, and if so, the output of the expression is true and the lamp turns red. If key 1 and key 2 are not both on, the expression is false and the lamp turns black. If we had three switches and each one of them had to be turned on, we would type in something like key 1 and key 2 and key 3. Let's talk briefly about the assignment operator. The assignment operator, or the equal sign, sets one thing equal to another. This statement here says slider equals level, so it set slider equal to the value of level. If I add two equal sign, now it's saying or asking are slider and level equal? It's a comparison. Right now we're asking if the slider is 0 and the alarm level is 0. Turn on the green light. As soon as we take it off of 0, you'll see it goes out. Let's change that value to 100. And now when the slider is all the way up, the light will be on. But if I move it down, the light's going to go off. We are comparing level to slider. There are other operators we can use as well. We can use the less than if equal, the greater than, or the greater than or equal. Of course, we've already talked about the compare, the double equals. We can also do a not equal, which is greater than and less than signs. So the first one we've already talked about is the AND operator. If key 1 and key 2 are on, the evaluation is true. We can also use OR, so if key 1 or key 2 are on, it evaluates as true. We can also use the NOT operator. So we could say something like if not key 1, in other words, if it's off, evaluated as 1, and key 2. So key 1 would have to be off and key 2 would have to be on. Or we can actually do the whole expression. If key 1 and key 2 are on and we NOT it, in other words, we invert it, it's going to evaluate to 0. Alright, let's change this back to OR and take a look at how that would work. There's the OR function. And now either key 1 or key 2 will cause the lamp to go off. Let's try not key 1 or key 2. In other words, you're going to work in the inverse. So if key 1 or key 2 are pressed, it would normally be a 1, but we put the NOT operator in there, and that will take it to a 0. Alright, so let's go to our lights window. We'll go back into development and choose lights. And what we're going to do now is go to Wizard. We're going to go down to Switches, and we're going to get a switch. Now we've got 3 rows and 3 columns. We're going to place this switch by row 1. We'll go ahead and size it and put it where it needs to be. And we're going to put a tag name on this. We'll call this row 1. I've already made these tags. Click on OK. And let's duplicate this. We're going to put one by each row and one under each column. Be sure to properly label them and give them the correct tag name as well. I've sped up putting tags and labels on all the switches. Once we get done with all this, we'll play around a little bit. Alright, so let's go to the first light, the one on the bottom left, and let's put in the text column 1 and column 2 and column 3. So what should happen when we do this is that when all of those things are on, column 1 switch, column 2 switch, and column 3 switch, the light should turn green. So it's red. I'm going to turn all the switches on. There's column 1, column 2, column 3. There we go. There's our light. If I turn any switch off, you'll notice the light goes back to red. So column 1, column 2, and column 3 switches all have to be on. So let's go modify another one of our lights. This time we're going to go to the bottom center light. We'll go to Fill Color Discrete. And we're going to modify this one so that it says row 1 or row 2 and I'm double clicking to pop up the tag names. So double click, or row 3. So if any of those 3 switches turn on, it should turn on this light to green. So if row 1 or row 2 or row 3 are on, the light should go green. There we go, there's row 3, row 2, and row 1. So any switch will turn it from red to green. Now we're going to go over and we're going to write another script. So go to Data Change Script and go to New. There may be an old script in there from some of the other stuff that you've done. Delete the tag name out. Double click and let's go to row 1. So anytime the data in row 1 changes, we're going to run this little script. So we are going to turn off the other 2 switches if you turn on the row 1 switch. So if row 1, and I'll press the compares, the double equal sign, compares to 1, then I want to make row 2 a 0, and that will set, so we'll use the 1 equal sign to set. We'll set row 2 to 0, which will shut the switch off. Don't forget your semicolon. We're also going to do set run 3 to 0. I'm sorry, row 3 to 0. And again, we're setting it so we're using the single equal sign and not the double equal sign. Then we'll add in our end if statement, and I'm going to go ahead and delete this space. So we have a script. If row 1 compares to 1, or is equal to 1, then row 2 is 0 and row 3 is 0. So we're going to set row 2 and row 3 to 0, and that should set those switches off. I validated, I didn't get any errors, so I'm going to click OK, and let's go test it. So I turned on the row 2 switches and row 3 switch, and when I turn on row 1, you'll notice they both turn off. Turn on row 3, turn on row 1, and it turns off. So that did work. So let's go make another data change. We got to go to New, You'll notice the old script is still there. I was sorry, I meant to delete the tag name. So I'm going to go delete the tag name. The new one is going to be, I'm going to put row 2 in there. So this, if row 2 changes, in other words, I change it, if row 2 equals 1, then I want to set row 1 switch to 0 and row 3 switch to 0. I'll go with that a quick test. So there's the row 2 switch. Turn on row 1, it shuts the other two off. If I turn on row 2, it will shut the other two off. Let's go back and do the same thing to the row 3 switch. If you don't click on new, you're just going to write over an old script. So we're going to call this row 3. We'll adjust our script here so that it does row 2 and row 1. Save it. Okay, now we're going to test it. So any switch should turn off the other two. Alright, let's go readjust our lights a little bit. We're going to go click on the lower left hand corner light, and we're going to change our script so that you have to have on column 1 and row 3 to get that light to come on. So I double click, I picked the wrong one. I'll figure that out here in a minute and go fix it. There we go, so I fixed it. Row 3 and column 1 have to be on for that light to turn on, so let's try it. There is row 3, and there is column 1, and you'll notice it's green. If I turn off the row light, it turns off the light. Let's go ahead and do the other two lights real quick. We'll go back to development, click the middle switch, and this one should be row 3, column 2. So row 3 and column 2. And finally, the last light should be row 3 and column 3. Put column 1. That's the one I messed up. So I tested it. I realized something is wrong. And I'm going to go back and change my script because that light wasn't working right. Alright, there it is. Row 3 and column 3. And that concludes Lab 3. You've got some more stuff to do on the assignment. You're going to make all of the lights work properly, and all the column switches, or any of the column switches, should shut off the other two column switches.